Hey, what's up everybody? I'm here to give you guys another WWE All Talk video. And in this video, I'm going to be doing my reviews for the October 31st, 2018, which was on Halloween, editions of WWE NXT UK, 205 Live, and WWE NXT. The reason why I'm doing this is because this Thursday, which I don't know if it will be released on Thursday, but it's going to be released at some point next week, I'm going to be on NoDQ.com. Pretty much what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be on Stephen Osborne and Jerry Slaughter's NXT UK party, where I'm going to be reviewing this upcoming week's NXT UK. And I'm really excited about it, so what I would like to do is at least have some video documentation that I did do reviews of the most recent NXT UK. And I figured while I'm at it, I'll also watch 205 Live and NXT itself, so that's why this video is being made. And I'm just gonna cover it all in one video, just because I want to do it that way. So that's the way I'm gonna do it. So let's get ready to review. I'm gonna start off with NXT UK, the 2 episodes that aired on October 31st, and then I'm gonna do 205 Live and NXT, just because those are the order in which they aired. So that's just how I'm gonna do it. So let's get right into the review. Alright, so starting off with the NXT UK shows for October 31st, 2018. Now, lately I've been noticing that these past couple of weeks that they've been airing a couple of NXT UK shows on the WWE Network. And the only reason I can come up with is that NXT UK was taped so long ago, because it was pretty much taped, because I think these shows were taped back in the summer. I don't know if it was necessarily the end of August or beginning of August, but these shows were taped a while ago, and they realized that, you know, a lot of stuff has changed and a lot of things have been revealed on screen and stuff, so they want to try to get these shows caught up. And obviously I think that makes sense, because these shows are a little bit dated, but they're still enjoyable shows and I still like watching them. But yeah, I think they're trying to get caught up with NXT UK. So let's start off. So I'm going to start off by reviewing episode 3 of NXT UK that aired on October 31st, 2018. We had Nigel McGuinness and Vic Joseph on commentary for this show. They still need to change the fact that the setup of when they're actually sitting, when they actually are, when you actually see them talking, because it just looked like this. Standing right in front of a green screen with the NXT UK logo behind them. I think they need to change that. And we had the first match. It was Trent Seven versus Saxton Huxley. And I thought this was actually a good match to kick off the show. And I really enjoyed it. Trent Seven teases that like he's going to go for a chop, but instead he hits a DDT on Huxley. And he goes for the 7-star lariat, but Huxley counters it. He hits a Luthez press takedown onto Trent Seven, and he dominates him for a little bit. And then Trent Seven makes his comeback. He hits the 7-star lariat, and then he hits the reverse half Nelson suplex into a Burden Hammer for the win. And that was pretty much the match. I thought it was a good match, though, and it was a good way to kind of showcase Trent Seven, so I liked it. And I thought Saxton Huxley looked pretty good in this match. He did cut a promo before the match talking about how he was disappointed about his performance in the first United Kingdom Championship tournament, and he says he's here to change all that. So I liked it. I thought this was good. And then we had a video brother. No, sorry, I messed that up. Then we had a vignette for the Coffee Brothers. I thought it was a nice vignette. And then Flash Morgan Webster gets interviewed because he's going to be facing Mark Coffey. And he says that he's going to beat Mark Coffey after attacking him at the United Kingdom Championship Tournament Special Part 2 show. And that he's going to have the mob on his side. I thought it was a good promo. And then we had Mark Coffey with Joe Coffey versus Flash Morgan Webster. And I thought they had a really good, a pretty good match. I really enjoyed this match. It was very quick. And Flash Morgan Webster, I thought, looked pretty strong in this match. He Mark Coffey ended up getting the advantage early, but then Flash Morgan Webster would make his comeback, and he would fight Mark Coffey out of the win. Then he went and hit a dive on him, but Joe Coffey stood up on the apron right in his way, and then Mark Coffey hits a uppercut right onto Flash Morgan Webster. Then Flash Morgan Webster starts to make his comeback. He hits a high knee, sending Mark Coffey out of the win, and he tries to do the dive again, but Joe Coffey yet again stands in his way. So then Flash Morgan Webster decides to hit a flip dive right off the apron, almost like off the turnbuckle right under Mark Coffey, which was cool. And then Flash Morgan Webster and Joe Coffey get into a face-to-face altercation, and then this distracts Flash Morgan Webster long enough for Mark Coffey to hit a suplex on him, but Flash Morgan Webster still kicks out, and then Flash Morgan Webster hits a wicked Russian leg sweep, and then he hits into a DDT, and then he hits a drop kick from the second turnbuckle, which I think he botched this a little bit because he nearly tripped off the turnbuckle. It was really weird. And then Flash Morgan Webster knocks Joe Coffey off the apron, and then he ends up rolling up Mark Coffey for the win. So overall, I like this match. I didn't really mind the fact that Flash Morgan Webster went over just because he's probably a big Gusto, so I was fine with it. Then the Coffey brothers beat down Flash Morgan Webster, and Travis Banks and Mark Andrews come out to make the save, but the Coffey brothers don't want to fight them because it's 3-on-2. And it really is weird that the Coffey brothers, I guess, are heels in this situation since they're the ones that are being outnumbered. But I think it makes sense since they're the ones that, attacked Mark Andrews, Travis Banks, and Flash Morgan Webster at the United Kingdom Championship Tournament Part 2 episode. And I think it's gonna lead to some sort of tag team or six-man match. Maybe the Coffey brothers will get, another heel to join up with them, and then they'll, clean house. So I like this feud. I enjoy it. And then it showed video packages for Danny Burch and Sam Gradwell. It was pretty much the same package with Danny Burch that they showed the previous episode, so I really won't go too much into detail on that. It did look like he was. It did look like that he was going to be a heel in the, in NXT UK, but that wasn't the case. And then we had a video package from Sam Gradwell, and he talked about how he was happy with his performance in the inaugural United Kingdom Championship Tournament. However, he felt like he came a little bit short, and he's here to right those wrongs, and he's not here to have 5-star matches, which I like that he said that. He's here to, right the wrongs from the previous tournament. So then we had Danny Burch versus Sam Gradwell. Sam Gradwell certainly looked a lot different. He's grown like a little bit of a mohawk, which everybody chanted, "You look stupid" at him, which was funny. And I thought this was a really hard-hitting match. I really, enjoyed this match. It was really hard-hitting, and it was really aggressive. And I really can't do the match justice. Just go watch the match, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Danny Burch wins with a draping DDT from the top rope, but I thought this was a hell of a hard-hitting match. Really, nobody looked weak for losing. It's probably the most hard-hitting match that we've had in NXT UK thus far. And then afterwards, Danny Burch talks about how he's worked really hard to get to where he is in the WWE and in professional wrestling, and he's happy to be back in the UK. And no matter where he goes, this will always be his home. But he's not here to talk about all that. He's here to get people's attention, and he wants to get the United Kingdom champion Pete Dunne's attention. And he tells that he's not a hard man to find, and he says that he pretty much calls out Pete Dunne. He wants to challenge him for his United Kingdom championship, and that was that. I really enjoyed this, and I thought Danny Burch cut a hell of a promo. And yeah, I thought that Danny Burch was going to be a heel in NXT UK because of the way his video package was presented. But that was not the case. Sam Gradwell actually was a heel, which he really should have been a heel in the first United Kingdom Championship tournament. But obviously, because Pete Dunne was such a heel in that tournament, that's why I think he ended up becoming a babyface. But I think him being a heel fits him a lot better. And then Jordan Devlin has a vignette. We already know who he is, but it just pretty much went through who he was. He's going to be, on the next episode of NXT UK, which we'll have to see how he does because he's, none of his matches in the tournament except for the one with Flash Morgan Webster has really been show stealers. So hopefully he improves in NXT UK. And then we had the main event. It was Noam Dar versus Zach Gibson. This match got a lot of time. It actually made this episode of NXT UK go overtime. And I thought it was a hell of a match. They both start chain wrestling each other. Noam Dar has fun at the expense of Zach Gibson by teasing like he's going to take his shoes off and tries to take Zach Gibson's shoes off. But then he works on the injured leg of Zach Gibson. He ends up hitting the chop block with the leg. And then Zach Gibson hangs his arm up on the top rope, but then Noam Dar does it again on the apron. He ends up hitting a drop kick, like from the ramp, right onto Zach Gibson, which was really cool. And then Zach Gibson starts to target the injured arm of Noam Dar. And then Noam Dar mounts a comeback. Zach Gibson, though, hits a lung blower from the middle turnbuckle, but Zach Gibson kicks out. Noam Dar kicks out. And then they just really went back and forth at each other. They both exchanged submission holds. Noam Dar got Zach Gibson into an ankle lock, a reverse figure four, a figure four itself. Zach Gibson power bombed Noam Dar right on the ramp and nearly got Noam Dar counted out. He got him into the Chantley Gate the first time, but Noam Dar fought out of it. Noam Dar hit another chop block, and he went for the Supernova, but Zach Gibson ducked, and then he ended up hitting a chop block from the middle turnbuckle. Zach Gibson ended up, really just destroying Noam Dar for a while, but then eventually the finish comes when Noam Dar goes for the chop block a second time from the middle turnbuckle, but this time Zach Gibson moves out of the way. And I know Noam Dar does this, referencing that he's really hurt. Obviously, it was a work, but I did like that he did that. And Zach Gibson throws him shoulder first into the turnbuckle and hits like a wicked suplex onto Noam Dar for the win. And Zach Gibson goes over afterwards on the WWE.com exclusive. Everybody had given Noam Dar a standing ovation, and that was the end of this episode of NXT UK. This was a hell of an episode. I really enjoyed it. I think it's been the best episode out of the three. I like the first one a lot. I did like the second one, but I just think this was a really good episode. And if I had to rate this episode, I'm going to give... Actually, I thought it was a great episode. I'm going to give it a B+. I really enjoyed the main event. I enjoyed Trent Seven versus Saxon Huxley, and I enjoyed Sam Gradwell versus Danny Burch, the Mark Coffey versus Flash Morgan Webster, and it also had some nice video packages and stuff like that. And I think that NXT UK is going to end up being a pretty big success. Right now, it's still kind of in the introductory stage, where everybody's still being introduced and the show's still really new. But I think this is going to end up being, a hell of a thing. I think it could, I don't know if it'll be better than the regular, NXT episodes every week. But I think, it could be just as good as NXT and maybe even better than 205 Live. I'm really enjoying NXT UK. So that's my review of NXT UK. I'll be back very shortly to give you my review of episode 4. So I'll be right back. Alright, so now on to NXT UK episode 4, which aired on the same date, October 31st, 2018. And I'm just going to get right into it. We had the same people on commentary. It opened up with Mustache Mountain versus Saxon Huxley and Sam Gradwell. Good opening tag match here. I enjoyed it. Saxon and Gradwell get the heat on Trent Seven for a while, and they targeted the injured knee because, like I said, this was taped after in August, and this was when this is pretty much after the events of NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4, so that's why he's still in the knee injury. And then Tyler Bate gets the hot tag. And I think Tyler Bate's a perfect hot tag guy for this tag team. I think, his moveset fits it. And then he tags back in Trent Seven and Gradwell and Huxley. Huxley, try to win with like their version of a heart attack. No, not a heart attack, sorry. Like a spine buster into a backstabber, but they don't win. And then Mustache Mountain win with a when Tyler Bate hits that like springboard back clothesline onto, I believe it was Hugsley, into a half Nelson exploder suplex by Trent Seven, and Mustache Mountain get the win. I thought it was a good match, though. It was a good way to kick off the show. And obviously, it's just showing off the tag team division that could come when the NXT, UK tag team titles finally get unveiled. And then backstage, we see that Travis Banks has been attacked. And this is important because Travis Banks was supposed to face Wolfgang, but since he was attacked, he can't do the match. And Johnny Saint's backstage with him, and he's telling him to get the medics and stuff like that. And then we had a video package for Isla Dawn, just kind of going through everything that she's ever done in her career. It's pretty much the same video package they had for the Mae Young Classics. And then we had a video package for Ginny, and this actually aired on the previous episode, but I forgot to talk about it. Pretty much she's all about fashion. And I think that's actually a good idea to have that for a wrestling character. Obviously, they've done it before, but it's a good idea to have it because wrestling fans and fashion really don't get along. Like, wrestling fans aren't really known for their fashion. I don't know why that is, but that's just the case. Like, wrestling fans aren't big on fashion. So I think it's a perfect gimmick to get heat. And I find it kind of funny that not that long ago, I just watched True Cost on Netflix, and that pretty much all went about fashion, and yeah, she's pretty much spitting in the face of that video, so I think that's funny. Then Johnny Saint gets interviewed, and he gets asked what he's going to do about the main event. So Mark Andrews comes up and he offers to step in and wrestle Wolfgang in honor of Travis Banks. So that's what ends up happening. Then we had Nina Samuels versus Isla Dawn. Fine match. Isla Dawn really didn't get much of a reaction when she came out originally, but then she got a fine reaction. And Isla Dawn wins with a snap suplex, so I thought it was fine. Pete Dunne gets interviewed. We find out that on the next episode of NXT UK, he's going to be defending the United Kingdom Championship against Danny Burch. So he does an interview for that, talking about how he's going to retain the title, how he is going to do whatever it takes to keep the championship, and how he's put the UK division on the map. He says that Danny Burch may have invented strong British wrestling, but he's perfected it. And I thought it was really nice. I thought it was a really good interview by Pete Dunne. And then we had another video package for Jordan Devlin, and we had another vignette for Eddie Dennis. He talks about, how he has had to see Mark Andrews and Pete Dunne, their childhood friends, live out his dream while he was stuck being a high school principal, and he was the youngest high school principal in the UK, but then he quit his jobs to pursue his passion of being a wrestler, and he finally pursued his passion, and he was finally signed to a contract, and they actually showed him that WWE did some sort of live event or something in the UK where he signed it, and he was injured at this time, and Pete Dunne and Mark Andrews never gave him a call, and he said that he's going to use his all this frustration in his matches, and I'm excited about this. I'm assuming this could be the guy that takes the United Kingdom Championship from Pete Dunne. I think he's going to come in and feud with Mark Andrews, and then he's going to take the United Kingdom Championship from Pete Dunne. He's the guy to end his long reign. I think this is the guy right here. And then we had Jordan Devlin versus Tucker. Tucker's just such a weird wrestler name. That name needs to be changed. He can't just be Tucker. Come on. But Jordan Devlin wins with a fireman's carry into a Michinoku driver. It really didn't look very impressive. But Jordan Devlin looked fine in this match. I think he's looked, this is probably one of his better performances. And then Danny Burch gets interviewed, and he talks about how he's fought for 15 years to pursue his dream, has been denied a couple of times, and a normal man would just take that, would just take it, but he didn't take it. He kept working and working, and finally got signed to the WWE, and he wants to be the United Kingdom champion, and he knows that Pete Dunne's willing to do whatever it takes to win, and we'll do, we'll pound him to the mat, or wrestle him, try to break his fingers, and that's just a normal day for Danny Burch. And Danny Burch said that he's going to beat him and become the United Kingdom champion, and in 2 weeks he can get asked how it feels to be the face of the United Kingdom. Good promo, and on the next episode, like I said, they're going to have the UK Championship match. I'm really looking forward to that. Last year, right after Pete Dunne won the title, they had a really good match, and I think this match could top it. And then we had the main event. It was Wolfgang versus Mark Andrews, and I thought it was a pretty good main event. Mark Andrews hit some really cool dives and stuff on Wolfgang. Wolfgang hit a gorilla press right onto Mark Andrews right onto the apron, and then Wolfgang dominated the match for a bit, and then Mark Andrews making a comeback, hit a flip dive on the outside, the Stun Dog Millionaire, and then he hit the shooting star press for the win. And afterwards, they shake hands in respect. But then the Coffee Brothers come down and beat down Mark Andrews, and Wolfgang's just watching all this go down. And then Flash Morgan Webster comes out and he attacks the Coffee Brothers, but then he gets outnumbered. And then Wolfgang comes out and we think he's made the save, but then we find out that he's actually working with the Coffee Brothers because then he attacks Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, and then the show goes off the air. I like the angle. I like the heel turn. I think it makes sense because Wolfgang, obviously he's been kind of working heel anyways, and he's a much better heel than he is a babyface. And I think he's a perfect person to join this faction. So I actually like the heel turn at the end. And that was NXT UK. I like this show. I think this is definitely one of the weakest episodes, but it was still good. I'll give it a B minus. I thought the matches were good, and I liked the build up for the United Kingdom Championship match on the next episode. So I like this episode. I'll give it a B minus. And that's all of my reviews of NXT UK. And now I'm gonna watch 205 Live and give my review of that. So I'll be right back with that. Alright, so now today is November 11th, 2018. Today's Veterans Day, so happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. And now I'm going to be giving you guys my WWE 205 Live review. So I'm just going to get started with that now. We had Percy Watson, Vic Joseph, and Nigel McGuinness on commentary for this show. And the show opens up with a match between Jack Gallagher with Drew Gulak ringside versus the Brian Kendrick. Drew Gulak ended up doing guest commentary, and the first half of the match, the Brian Kendrick beats the crap out of Jack Gallagher. He throws him into the announcer's table, throws him out of the ring, and then Gallagher gets the upper hand when he drives Kendrick into the apron, and Kendrick takes control of the match for a while, and then Gallagher takes control of the match for a while, and then the Brian Kendrick starts to make a comeback. He nearly beats him with the super kick, and then he tries to get Gallagher into the captain's hook, but Gallagher gets the ropes, and then Gallagher hangs Kendrick up on the top rope, and he ends up jumping from the top rope and putting a sleeper hold right onto Kendrick. I really like that spot, and it looks like Kendrick's gonna win the match, but then Gulak gets off commentary and he's gonna go interfere in the match and help Gallagher win. But then Akira Tozawa comes out and he attacks Drew Gulak and lays him out. And Kendrick hits the sliced bread onto Jack Gallagher for the win. And afterwards, the Brian Kendrick and Akira Tozawa stand tall. I do think it's kind of cool to see the Brian Kendrick and Akira Tozawa work together, obviously, because they've had a history in the past with their feud, and it's kind of like one of those things where they don't really want to work together, but it's kind of like, keep, it's kind of like, since they have a common enemy that they're actually going to work together, so I liked it. So this was a good, and I thought the match was good too. And then Drake Maverick's backstage and he's talking to Cedric Alexander, and he said that the reason why Cedric Alexander is not going to get his rematch for the Cruiserweight Championship is because he doesn't think it's fair to the roster on 205 Live or to Cedric Alexander to put him in the win with Buddy Murphy, because since then his win-loss record hasn't been good. And Cedric Alexander agrees with them and says that he's going to get his win-loss record back on track, and then it will force Drake Maverick to have to give him a Cruiserweight champion, his rematch for the Cruiserweight Championship. So I like this segment because this did explain why Cedric Alexander isn't getting his rematch. So overall, I thought that accomplished that. And then Grand Metalik beat a random jobber. He beat him with um the elbow drop from the top rope. There's a name for it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. And then he's celebrating, and he gets attacked by TJP, and um, he ends up ripping his mask off before Kalisto and Lince Dorado come out and make the save. I do like the feud with TJP and Grand Metalik and stuff. I think that's good. So I like this stuff here. And then um, Tony Nese and Buddy Murphy are backstage, and Buddy Murphy gets interviewed, and Buddy Murphy says that on the next episode of 205 Live, since it's going to be taking place in the UK, he wants to face, and since it's the home of the UK division, he wants to face the best that the UK division has to offer. So he went to Drake Maverick and asked for a match with Mark Andrews, and obviously his request was met because later on in the show they announced that he's going to face um, Mark Andrews, which I'm excited to see that. And then he gets asked, what if Tony Nese becomes the number one contender? What would happen then? And then Buddy Murphy says to Caleb Braxton, who was interviewing him, none of your business, which I thought was a great response. And then Mike and Maria Kanellis get interviewed, and um, Maria Kanellis doesn't like any of the questions that Caleb Braxton's asking, so she takes over the interview, and obviously that brings back some memories because before she would do all the interviews in WWE, and she pretty much does interviews putting over Mike Kanellis, I mean, and then TJP comes up and offers Mike Kanellis and asks for Mike Kanellis' help since they both had to deal with issues with the Lucha House Party, and Maria Kanellis agrees because when opportunity knocks, they're always willing to answer. So obviously, now that's going to lead to them being a team, and obviously, like I said, that makes sense considering the fact that both of them are currently in a feud with the Lucha House Party. And then we had the WWE Cruiserweight Championship number one contenders match, Mustafa Ali versus Tony Nese. I actually thought this was a really good main event. I really enjoyed it. Mustafa Ali was all taped up from the previous episode when he had that Falls Count Anywhere match, and pretty much Tony Nese destroys him throughout the match. Mustafa Ali went for a high cross body outside the ring, but um, Tony Nese ended up reversing it into a last call right on to the entrance ramp. And Tony Nese just really attacked the ribs of Mustafa Ali, and he really went off on him. He had a Northern Light suplex on him, and he just destroyed Mustafa Ali. But then Mustafa Ali went out to come back. He had a tornado DDT. Tony Nese kicked out. He hit a high knee into a super kick, and then into another super kick right to the back of Tony Nese's head. I thought that was awesome. And Tony Nese hit a gut buster from the from the second turnbuckle, but Mustafa Ali kicked out of that. And then Tony Nese just got overzealous. He continuously attacked the ribs of Mustafa Ali, which ended up costing him the match in the end because then Mustafa Ali reversed into a roll up and ended up winning the match. And now he's the number one contender um, for the Cruiserweight Championship. And Tony Nese is about to attack Mustafa Ali afterwards, but then Cedric Alexander runs out to make the save, and this chases Tony Nese away. And then Buddy Murphy comes out and has a face-off with Mustafa Ali since he's the number one contender to the Cruiserweight Championship. And I liked all of this. I actually thought this was going to be the moment right here where they were going to do some sort of turn between Cedric Alexander, because obviously that's been building for a while since WrestleMania, since Cedric Alexander beat him to win the vacant Cruiserweight Championship. With the way Cedric Alexander was holding his arm over his shoulder, I actually thought he was going to lay him out with a lumbar check, but it didn't happen. And if you think about it, this sets up four potential matches. It's probably going to set up some sort of tag team match on the Go Home edition of 205 Live between Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese versus Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali, to build up to um, the Cruiserweight Championship match in the future. It's obviously going to set up Mustafa Ali and Buddy Murphy for whenever they're going to have their Cruiserweight Championship match. And it sets up two other matches for Cedric Alexander. Either it's going to set up Cedric Alexander costing Mustafa Ali the Cruiserweight Championship, turning heel on him, and can set up Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali, or Buddy Murphy would just beat Mustafa Ali in the cruiserweight title match, and it's going to set up Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander. This also does set up to, if you think about it, Cedric Alexander versus Tony Nese in a future match to kind of have Cedric Alexander get his win back there. So I think this really set up a lot of storylines that could um, that could possibly come, and and I enjoy that, and yeah, I really enjoyed the main event segment. I really enjoyed it. I thought the match was really good, and I thought the aftermath was a really good setup. And that was 205 Live for October 31st, 2018. I forgot to say the date, so that's why I'm saying it now. And I gotta say, I thought this was a pretty good episode of 205 Live. Not one of the best episodes, but not one of the worst. But I still thought it was pretty good. I thought I had a really good main event. I thought I had a good opening match, and I liked how they advanced the TJP Lucha House Party feud. So I enjoyed this episode. If I had to rate this episode, I'll give it a solid B. I think it was a pretty good episode, so I'll give it a B. And that's pretty much my review of 205 Live. Now I'm going to watch NXT and then get that review up. Okay, so now on to the last WWE review I have to do in this WWE All Talk video. This is NXT for October 31st, 2018, and I'm just going to get right into it. We had the same people on commentary for this show as we did for the 205 Live show. And this show kicked off with the match. It was Nikki Cross versus Mercedes Martinez. And I actually thought they had a good opening match here. I thought they had some nice chain wrestling holds in this match. And Nikki Cross hit a crossbody onto Mercedes Martinez. And after that, I noticed that she had gotten busted open. I don't know if it was from this or if she had gotten busted open from something prior to this, but she definitely got busted open somehow in this match. And but Mercedes Martinez kicked out of it. Then Mercedes Martinez hits two back suplexes into a German suplex, and she goes for a Fisherman Buster's finisher that she's been using in the Mae Young Classics. But Nikki Cross counters it into the Purge and gets the win. So I thought they had a good match. Afterwards, Nikki Cross looks into the eyes of Mercedes Martinez and says that was fun. And Mercedes Martinez doesn't seem fazed by this. She just kind of leaves the win and agrees, which I thought was interesting. And afterwards, Candice LeRae comes out, and she is upset that Nikki Cross knew all this time that Johnny Gargano attacked Aleister Black and didn't say anything. So she's upset about this, but Nikki Cross just laughs it off, which I thought was funny. And then Aleister Black himself comes out and he goes to the window Candice LeRae and asks where Johnny Gargano is. And she said that she doesn't know. No, actually, that's not what she said. She said that he's not here. William Regal told him to take the week off. And Aleister Black says that the next time he sees Johnny Gargano, he's not going to have his future's going to fade to black, which I thought was a great line. And that was the opening segment of the show. I liked it though. I thought it was a nice way to advance the Aleister Black Johnny Gargano storyline, and we did get a good match between Nikki Cross and Mercedes Martinez. I don't know if this is going to be Nikki Cross's last match in NXT though, because obviously we know that this past week she was called up to the main roster because she wrestled on SmackDown. So obviously that's TBD. Then we had the next match. It was a tag team match, the first of two on this show. It was the Street Profits versus the Mighty. Now, obviously, this is the first time that we had seen the Street Profits since the news had broken out that they had won the Evolve Tag Team Championships at the Evolve show. They didn't come out with the championships. I don't know if they're gonna, if they're just gonna kind of have that be uncandid from NXT. But I would like them to come out with the Evolve Tag Team titles, so maybe that's to be TBD. But I like this match. I thought it was a really good way to end the feud between the Mighty and the Street Profits. The Mighty still has the Street Profits property with their necklace and the signature logo Street Profits Cup, and the Street Profits dominate the first half of the matchup. Montez Ford hits a flip dive over the top rope right onto the Mighty. the Mighty get the heat for a little bit onto Angelo Dawkins, and then they get the heat on Montez Ford, and then Angelo Dawkins eventually gets the hot tag, and Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford go for the signature pump up spine buster into the frog splash, but Nick Miller puts a stop to this, and Nick Miller um, ends up hitting like a Tower of Doom spot using Nick Miller, which I thought was an innovative spot in a tag match. And he tries, no, not Nick Miller, Shane Thorne. And Shane Thorne tries to get the pin, but Angelo Dawkins breaks it up. And then the match spills down into chaos, and eventually Montez Ford hits a springboard frog splash right onto Shane Thorne for the win. And the Street Profits finally get the win. They reclaim their property, and I afterwards celebrate with the fans. And I really like this. I thought the match was pretty good, and I really like the blow off to this angle. I enjoyed it. And I just enjoyed the Street Profits. I really hope at some point that NXT does put the NXT Tag Team titles on the Street Profits. I think they're awesome. Um, and then William Regal gets interviewed and announces that at NXT Takeover War Games 2, Tommaso Ciampa is going to defend the NXT Championship against the Velveteen Dream, which I'm looking forward to that match. And then Aleister Black comes up and asks William Regal what Johnny Gargano is because he doesn't believe Candice LeRae, and William Regal pretty much says the same thing, but he says that he tells Aleister Black that at NXT Takeover War Games 2, it's going to be Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano. And then William Regal says that at NXT Takeover War Games 2, Johnny Gargano's future will fade to black. And then that was it. I really enjoyed this backstage segment. I thought it was awesome, and I'm excited to see those two matches at NXT Takeover War Games 2. And I think if you were to ask me, I think the main event of the show should be Johnny Gargano versus Aleister Black, just because throughout the fall of NXT, that's pretty much been the main storyline of NXT, and I think that would make sense for that to be the main event. But we'll have to wait and see. And then it shows a vignette for Matt Riddle hyping him up since he's making his debut. Lars Sullivan is backstage, and he's just going on a rampage, and he's upset that he didn't get the NXT Championship match, so he says that he's going to destroy the Velveteen Dream next week, and so bad that William Regal will be forced to have Lars Sullivan take his place in the NXT Championship match. I like this. I thought it made sense, and it set up a match for next week. Then we had Luke Menzies versus Matt Riddle, and this is the first time that I had seen Matt Riddle wrestle, and I thought he was awesome. I like his King of the Broads gimmick, and then I kind of like that he feels different from anybody else. He doesn't wrestle with shoes on, and I like it. And I like that, monkey flip he did right into a cross arm breaker. I thought that was awesome. And he ends up winning the match when he knocks out Luke Menzies with a lot of kicks, and he elbows him right in the back, right in the neck a couple of times, and gets him in a submission. I believe it's called like the Bro Mission or something, and gets the win. And uh, I, I I forgot to watch something, but I cover it. I'm just gonna finish watching NXT. I forgot to cover. Yeah, I forgot to watch the WWE.com exclusives. I'll just include that in a different video. Um, but yeah, Matt Riddle wins. And obviously that's the right choice since it's his debut and stuff, and I thought he looked really good. And then Sane attempts to confront Baszler after losing the NXT Women's title at Evolution. So that's pretty much that. I thought it was done really well. And then we had Danny Burch and Orny Lorcan versus Humberto Carrillo and Raul Mendoza. I thought this was going to be a squash, but it actually ended up being a pretty good tag team match. I enjoyed it. Um, Danny Burch had a hip toss right under Coolio into the corner. Humburo and Raul Mendoza both had suicide dives at the same time. Raul Mendoza hit a heel kick onto Danny Burch in the corner, and then eventually Danny Burch and Orny Lorcan get the win when they hit the Drape and DDT combination for the win. And I thought that made sense since, Danny Burch and Orny Lorcan are more of the tag team, and they're the tag team that's being pushed, so I thought that made sense. And then Undisputed Era was backstage, and they were doing a promo because it was supposed to be Adam Cole and Bobby Fish versus the War Raiders. However, the War Raiders pop up out of nowhere and they pull Adam Cole through the curtain and they attack the Undisputed Era. They beat the crap out of him. Um, and they actually are doing a very good job of fighting him off. They throw Adam Cole like a lawn dart into a U-Haul. Um, they Hanson, I think it was. No, actually, it was Ray. Ray throws Kyle O'Reilly into like one of those still boards. I can't really explain what it is. And they body slam Kyle O'Reilly on a table. They throw Roderick Strong over a table. But then eventually the numbers game catch up with them when Strong and Cole and Fish grab like trash can lids. And when the War Raiders start to get their ass kicked, Ricochet is just popped up outside, and he attacks. He has to dive right onto all members of the Undisputed Era. He attacks Adam Cole, but Adam Cole throws him into a guardrail that was out there with a ladder, and the War Raiders take back control. They throw Fish and O'Reilly into a garage hatch or something like that, and then they fight out into the back into the ring. But then eventually, Adam Cole hits Hanson with a steel chair, in the knee with a chair, and not Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Adam Cole super kicks Ricochet, and something. Roderick Strong hits a high knee on Ray, and Undisputed Era has the numbers game, but then Pete Dunne comes out with a steel chair, and he hits Adam Cole with it, and he actually hit him right in the fingers while he was on the entrance ramp, and pretty much the faces fight off the heels, and Willie Regal says that that's enough of this, and makes the War Games match at NXT Takeover War Games 2. It's going to be the Undisputed Era versus Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders. And this was awesome. I am happy about this because this does mean that the NXT UK branch is not going to be off of NXT because I thought that would have been stupid. And obviously, this match makes sense because everybody in this match has an issue with Undisputed Era. Ricochet and Adam Cole have had a feud. The War Raiders have an issue with the entire members of Undisputed Era because they kept them from winning the NXT Tag Team titles. You could say mainly they have an issue with Strong and O'Reilly, and Pete Dunne has an issue with Roderick Strong since he turned on him at NXT Takeover New Orleans. So I think this match ties in together very well. And that's not quite the end of NXT because, like I said, I forgot to cover the WWE.com exclusive, so I'll go do that and then come right back. Okay, so on to the WWE.com exclusives. I'll just cover them real quick. It showed unseen angles of the brawl between Ricochet, the War Raiders, and Pete Dunne versus Undisputed Era. And then it showed Keith Lee and Matt Riddle backstage, and they were happy they were both finally in NXT. And Cassius Ohno said, "Look, it's Willie Regal's new toys, and I love new toys. I love to break them." So this is setting up a match. It looks like it's more setting up a match between Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno. And then we had like the NXT post show or the after show, which was hosted by Sarah Schreiber, I think her name is, and um, it had a lot of interviews on it. It had an interview from the Street Profits saying that the war with the Mighty's over now since they have back their property, which I think makes sense. Matt Widow about his debut, how it was everything that it was everything that he'd ever dreamed of, and then he says that he wants the guys to keep being big, and he teases a match with Cassius Ohno as well. Um, and then we had an interview from. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Um, an interview from um, Ricochet, the War Raiders, and Pete Dunne. And they say that the Undisputed Era started the war. They're going to end it at War Games. And the War Raiders said that they're going to war. And Undisputed Era is not happy that they have to go in War Games. And I think that was pretty much everything. Um, So yeah, overall I enjoyed the post show, and that was pretty much NXT for this week. I thought it was a really good show. I really actually I thought it was a great show. Actually, I really enjoyed the two tag team matches. I enjoyed the opening match. I enjoyed the main event angle, and I enjoyed but that's pretty much what was all on the show. But everything else was pretty enjoyable. So I enjoyed this episode. I'll give it a solid B because it wasn't quite a great episode. If we had had like maybe one more like really good match or one really good segment, I think I would have given it a B plus. But I still thought it was a really good show. That's pretty much my thoughts on NXT. And that's pretty much the end of this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell. So that way, every time I upload a video, you guys get the notifications for it. Make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM brothers that are on the Talking Native YouTube channels. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.